From the sinister mask of Ghostface to the teen-driven scares, a lot has changed in the Scream franchise since its debut in 1996. The upcoming installment of the Scream franchise is sure to bring horror fans to the edge of their seats. With its thrilling storyline and interesting characters, it's going to be one you can't miss. One character in particular, Tara Carpenter, played by Jenna Ortega, will be sure to make her mark on Scream 6. After all, Ortega's breakout role as Wednesday in the Netflix series of the same name has already had an influence on the film.
You're soft and weak. You'll never survive without me.
Directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette teased that Ortega's Wednesday role impacted some of the humor in Scream 6.
I have a tight deadline. Emphasis on dead.
They explained that although there isn't a specific Addams Family Easter egg hidden within the subway scene, the movie still has plenty of Addams Family vibes. Not only is this due to Ortega's Wednesday role, but it also plays in the horror genre in general.
I think that this is a waste of time. I see the world as a place that must be endured, and my personal philosophy is kill or be killed.
The duo noted that horror movies should always allow for moments of comedy and ridiculousness to enter.
Where are your whiskers? Ask again and you'll be down to 8 lives.
Alongside all the intense suspense, the perfect example being a random character walking through the frame wearing a ridiculous costume. This is especially true for Scream 6, which will be set in New York City on Halloween, providing even more opportunities for hilarious moments to surprise viewers. So, as fans anxiously await the arrival of Scream 6, we can all rest assured that Ortega's Wednesday role will certainly add an extra layer of humor and fun to the movie.
I know you're usually a quad kind of girl, but I've been working on that all week.
Birthday, yes. Happy never.
Scream 6 is taking the Ghostface killer to bold new heights, introducing an even more sinister version of the beloved villain than we've seen before. This time around, he's said to be far more aggressive and violent than ever, as evidenced by the terrifying tease where he attacks an unsuspecting victim in a packed subway car full of witnesses. If that wasn't enough of a shock, Jenna Ortega, who plays Scream 6's new potential final girl Tara, has said that this is probably the most aggressive and violent version of Ghostface. What's even more shocking than the violence we've seen in the trailers is that Ghostface is wielding a shotgun this time around. Now, guns have definitely been used by Ghostface in previous films, but only during their punchy finales, not nearly as much as we've seen in the Scream 6 trailer alone. This gun-toting version of the killer evokes a whole other level of brutality that might be too much for some longtime fans of the series to handle.
How well do you remember the original?
I don't know. And it was like super 90s.
Not only is he more violent and aggressive than ever, but he's also come to the scenes better prepared than any of his predecessors. We know from the trailers that this version of Ghostface has an elaborate underground lair with an impressive armory of weapons. He also has multiple identical Ghostface disguises. Those familiar with the franchise know that past versions of the killer have been known to plan their killing sprees in advance, but this time around it looks like Ghostface has outdone himself when it comes to preparation, though there has been some speculation that this change might ruin the character. Directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette have defended their decision, saying they don't want it to be safe or boring.
With pleasure.
In an interview with SFX magazine, the duo explained that Ghostface's decision to take a gun was a natural extension of his single-minded nature. He won't give up when he has a goal in mind. The directors also noted that the film is taking a much more realistic approach to Ghostface's behavior. This is why we're seeing some of these boundary-pushing changes. It looks like Scream 6 is going to be an exciting new chapter in the franchise. Fans already have so many theories about what the film is going to be like. This upcoming sequel looks set to break some major slasher movie rules. First off, Ghostface will apparently be using a gun this time around, and you know what that means for suspense and intensity levels. Not only that, but it seems like there could be up to 6 people lurking under the Ghostface mask this time around, thus making it harder than ever to guess who the villain is. Then, of course, there's fan favorite Gale Weathers. Will she make it out alive? The trailer seems to imply that her demise is inevitable, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hayden Panettiere Claire's return to the franchise as Kirby Reed is a major plot point in Scream 6, but fans were initially skeptical. After all, Cotton Weary got killed off within minutes of returning in Scream 2022. Fortunately, it looks like Kirby will be playing an important role this time around, with more than one scene featuring the returning star. I can't wait to see what she brings to the table. There's definitely going to be a lot of suspense. Speaking of suspense, the trailer for Scream 6 hints at a particularly heartbreaking twist. The beloved leading lady from Scream 2022, Jenna Ortega's Tara character, appears to have gone rogue and may actually be Ghostface.
You're gone for 5 years. 5 whole years, and then I get stabbed and you want to come back and you want to drop all this on me? No.
I can't help but worry about Tara, since Ghostface usually isn't too kind to his or her victims. Samara Weaving is also joining the cast, sparking speculation that she may be a new Drew Barrymore for this latest installment. You know, one of those characters who gets killed off very early in the movie just to mess with our expectations. So what's going to happen? Will Tara pull a O. Henry twist and actually be behind the mask this time around? Or is Samara Weaving playing a new Drew Barrymore type role? Only one thing is for sure, I can't wait for Scream 6 to hit theaters so that all our questions can finally be answered. One thing about Scream 6 is that the original script for Scream 6 included the iconic character of Sidney Prescott as the final girl this time around. Unfortunately, Campbell departed from the franchise due to contract negotiations.
Really messed up.
So it will be interesting to see how viewers react to a Ghostface that isn't up against Sidney. One option would be for Scream 6 to simply ignore Sidney as if the events of the previous movie never happened. However, this could come off as a bit too brazen and unbelievable, given that Sidney was the only character to defeat 5 versions of Ghostface in the series. Not to mention that other characters who were close with her would feel a bit out of character if they never brought her up. Another idea is to suggest that Sidney has tragically died between movies, which would be an equally dark and unpleasant start for the sequel. While this might provide a logical explanation as to why she won't be returning, it wouldn't quite honor her legacy in the story. And that's something important considering how much of a survivor she was throughout the series. The best way to handle her absence would be for Scream 6 to give Sidney a happy ending, even though she won't physically appear in the movie. This could involve Gale mentioning that Sidney and her family have relocated away from Ghostface's threats, with the implication being that they're now living happily on the other side of the country. Even though this would mean that we wouldn't get to see Campbell reprising her iconic role, it would at least give fans a sense of closure, knowing that Sidney is living her best life out there. I'd honestly love to see that happen. It all depends on the approach that Scream 6 takes, but either way, it's clear that Sidney's story will have a huge impact on how the sequel plays out. Fingers crossed that the filmmakers can figure out a way to do her justice. And that was Scream 6.